Hello everyone, it's Duckfaden07. Today we are playing Toolboxy Rakdos midrange Brew with Beseech the Mirror. Okay, so this is pretty similar to the build I had on my channel a few months ago. I called it Rakdos Rings and it performed very good. The first when Bowmasters just went out, the deck was great, and this is the Beseech the Mirror fits into that shell very well, but I think it's necessary to change the deck really significantly to fit this card, because you need to put some enablers in the deck. And the best enablers, in my experience so far for the Besiege, has been the Artifact Land, plus the Bowmaster token, a Fable token, of course, and sometimes some random artifacts, enchantments you get. A Vase Knot when it's necessary, of course, even Fable and stuff like that. Okay, so in this version is different than the ones you saw previously on my channel because of that change. And since I got the Drossforge Bridges into the deck, I decided to try out the Cleansing Wildfire. It's in the main because I don't really have a lot of 3-drops in this build like in the previous one, and I have a lot of 4-drops. So I wanted to have a card here that can ramp me into turn 3 Ring or turn 3 Sheoldred, turn 3 Besiege also. That all of that felt like pretty good. And so that was my plan with this deck. And I wanted to play 4 Thoughtseize because it's great. Thoughtseize is such a good card with a Vase Knot, but I encountered some problems with Mono Red Burn, Boros Burn, sorry. So I had to include Collective Brutalities in the main and in the side to be able to deal with it. Sheoldred just wasn't enough on its own. And Collective Brutality also has synergy with Vase Knot, but it also serves additional removal or a way to gain additional life when you have the ring on the field and you're losing life each turn. And game by game, I really liked the Collective Brutality, so decided to keep the split between Thoughtseize and Brutality, though maybe in some metagame when there is absolutely no aggressive matchups like I don't know, Burn, Prowess and stuff like that, I would definitely keep like 4 Thoughtseize, but at the moment Brutality just performed very good and I'm very happy with it, so keeping it. Okay, that is it. On the sideboard we have some additional Burning Inquiry synergies. Burning Inquiry obviously great with Bowmasters, Waste Not, but on the sideboard we have Tuurach and Voidwalker too. So Burning Inquiry works great with all these cards, and Burning Inquiry at the moment in this deck it never happened even one time that I got hosed by opponents, Bowmasters. That never happened because I have so much removal, 2 Fatal Push, 4 Lightning Bolt, 2 Collective Brutalities, 4 of my Bowmasters, 2 Terminates, Damnation, Besiege, Tutoring, other removal, also Thoughtseize, Collective Brutality. So many ways to get rid of the Bowmasters. You can just easily play around it and never get punished or never be in danger of not being able to cast the Inquiry. Yes, okay. I performed really good with this build, and I just kept dodging the trophies league after league. I had countless 4-1s and just didn't have enough luck. But the overall score I had with this deck was great, and I was really happy with its performance. And I really played a lot leagues with this deck, so I think this build is my final build. I don't want to change anything at the moment. There is definitely another build similar to the previous Rakdos Ring builds I had, but I would probably not play the Besiege in that build. So this is a very similar build, but based around Beseech the Mirror, its toolbox potential, and it plays out significantly different than my previous Rakdos Rigs variant. Okay, so let's go to the league and check out how the deck performed in one of those 4-1 leagues I had. Okay. Okay, so here the first hand was a 1-lander, so I kept the second one. I was playing against a Scam. Opponent started off game 1 with a Grief Scam, getting rid of Thoughtseize and Wildfire. So I top deck push, but I didn't have a fetch at this moment. I did find it, which was great. Opponent now only 2 cards in their hand, but have Grief and Ragavan on the field. I decide to get rid of the Grief because it's more damage and I have more time to deal with Ragavan this way. So really hoping to put my ring on the field. And now I top deck the Bowmasters, kill opponent's Ragavan. And this deck has performed really well against Rakdos Scam, and I have just a very good win percentage in the Scam matchup. I did lose once, I remember, in the trophy game against Scam so far, and I won at least 3 times. So there's still not that much of not that many games against it still, but I feel like the matchup is definitely positive. We play a similar game, has a lot of similar cards, but I have a lot of removal to deal with early scamming, and then often just the ring takes over. Okay, so opponent played my ring, which is pretty good, but in these situations, often the player who plays the ring first wins, and because I get to untap, draw 3 cards, and then draw a lot of problematic cards for the opponent, so I get to play the Sheoldred immediately. I can't go for the Thoughtseize this turn because they have protection from the ring. But now I'm able to play my cards first, so I get the Sheoldred on the field, Orcish Bowmaster, and now opponent has the ring. It is their turn, but they're already losing 2 life from the draw step. Drawing 2 from the ring, triggering Sheoldred 2 times, triggering Bowmasters 2 times, and they really have to find something amazing to be able to deal with everything I have. And even if they do kill the Sheoldred here and whatever, still I untap with and get 3 counters on the ring, which is just brings a great possibility for me to just immediately win. Okay, so I draw cards, opponent goes for the Bowmasters. Kills my Bowmaster, but I have Bowmaster on my own too, and opponent concedes there. That is the game. Okay, let's check out the game 2 against Cam. Opponent starts with the Thoughtseize this time. I had a pretty good hand. Pretty happy with this. Opponent goes for a second Thoughtseize, getting rid of Brutality and Terminate. I'm not really sure why they went for Terminate Brutality. Obviously wanted to get rid of the removal. Yeah, end of turn, I was hoping to draw a land, so I there cast a Terminate, kill their Goblin Shaman, and now cast my Fable. Fable is great in the Scam matchup and helps you get that. It's hard to deal with. You have to use 2 cards on it, and also it helps you to get the cards flow, discard stuff you don't need, try to find the answers. And this time I draw the 1 ring again and resolve the 1 ring. And I mean, they have the Bowmasters, but I have a lot of options here to get rid of the Bowmasters, so I don't really care about that. I had multiple options here, but I decided to go for Damnation, kill the entire board, or at least most of it. And so they have now 0 cards in hand, and I cleared the entire board, and I'm tapping with the ring with a lot of lot of counters on it. So opponent does have Croxa, but I have like so much stuff here, and we're going to see how good Sheoldred can be sometimes. So I especially with the ring, so I go for the Burning Inquiry here. Dealing 6 to my opponent, and then getting another mountain, another inquiry for immediate lethal on the same turn. Like, 12 damage with Sheoldred to the face immediately, and that is game over. Okay, so let's check out game 2. Okay, so playing second this time, have a pretty good hand. Uh, Terminate, push, Bowmasters, Sheoldred, Fable. I mean, you can't wish for much more than that. Pretty good hand. Opponent was on creativity, I think. Yeah. Devon, Jetmir Garden, Dwarven Mine. The ring decks are pretty good against creativity, and this game has really was interesting, and you're going to see why. And it perfectly shows why creativity has fallen off in the metagame. And they resolved like 3 Archons this game and still lost, which is very interesting. So I went for the Bowmasters here. And now had multiple options. Of course, I have two removals in hand which I can keep to kill their token if they try to go for creativity. First, I start with the attacks with the Bowmaster. Go for a mountain here and decide to cast the Fable and not even bother holding the removal for the X1 creativity. Opponent played Prismatic Commander. I didn't really expect that. But yeah, so they went to kill my Bowmasters, and I went for the Fable, despite of them being able to go for creativity, because I had Terminate in hand, and Archon for with just one ability killing my Orc Army token, and I'm getting another one from the Bowmaster's trigger. So this means I'm just discarding useless land, and they're drawing one card, which is totally fine. And I get to put the Fable on the field, which gets me the redraw next turn. Okay, so in this version, I played one Darksteel Citadel instead of third Swamp, but because of the Blood Moon, I decided to go for a third Swamp. Okay, so opponent goes for a creativity here. They didn't get the trigger because of my moon. So nothing actually happened. I just terminated their creature. And again, I had the option here just to play the Sheoldred, but decide to keep the Bowmasters. I can't kill the Fable if they try to target this with it, but I can kill Dwarf Token if they try to target Dwarf Token. Unfortunately, opponent goes for Persist and gets another Archon trigger. I think this is really interesting because you will see how much of the Archon triggers opponent get. They already played one creativity, now they persisted. And yeah, so I continued playing despite my opponent having Archon on the field. I have Sheoldred and Bowmasters here, plus a Kiki Jiki. So I go for attack here, and the opponent decides to block, which means I get to kill the Archon. I was pretty happy about them deciding to block it. I think that was a much better situation for me than them just going for the attacks here. Okay, so my Kikijiki and my whole mana was tapped right now, but I had Sheoldred and Bowmasters on the field, and even if opponent goes for Dwarven Mine or persist again. Okay, so here's what happened. Opponent had another creativity in hand and went for creativity X3 targeting my Bowmasters. And I got another Bowmasters from my deck because I only play 6 creatures in this entire deck, 4 Bowmasters, 2 Sheoldred, so chances of getting another Bowmaster was huge. So when you have Bowmasters on the field, you don't actually sacrifice any creatures against Archon because you just sack the Orc army, and then you get another one when they draw a card, and then you get Orc army again. So nothing changes on your board. And they did a couple of these Archon triggers, and I top deck one ring from top of my deck, and this shows just how good the One Ring is against creativity, and why exactly this deck has fallen off that much. So this is like perfect example of just the ring destroying the creativity. Okay, so they already did one creativity and they had another persist, and this was now they get two Archon triggers, so this is 4 Archons already in this game. And I'm just like here resolving my ring, dealing damage with Sheoldred, drawing 2 more cards from the ring, and just finishing my opponent off with Burning Inquiries. It's just so funny, this game. Really something. Okay, so I go for another ring, gain more life, and go for Inquiry to get 6 Sheoldred abilities and finish off my opponent also. I had a double bolt too, if needed. But yeah, okay, so really interesting game. And yeah, won against 4 Archons there. Okay, so let's check out the game 2. How did that go? Oh, and also I had another change. Instead of second Kolaghans and third instead of second Kolaghan's and third Brutality, at this point on my board I had 2 Boom Busts. I also liked this card a lot, but because Scales is such a popular deck right now, I decided to go with second Kolaghan's. And Burn was also kind of popular at the moment, so I removed Boom Busts for removed Boom Busts for that card, but obviously Boom Busts can be pretty good in a lot of matchups like Amulet Titan, Tron, Black Coffers, all the stuff like that, especially with your artifact lands. So these are just a few changes I had in the previous versions, but this is everything, yeah. So here I draw my artifact land, and I could use fetch to get the same value here, but I go for a tap land and try to cast the Bombast, try to destroy their land, but they have the Spell Pierce. So unfortunately, I'm now very open to them doing the creativity thing. They went for Dwarven Mine. Still, if they go for the Archon, I'm in a similar situation as last game. They still get the 1 draw. Unfortunately, my Dauthi dies, but I untap, play Terminate, and it's really not the end of the world. That's probably why opponent also. Okay, so didn't go for creativity there. I decide in this situation, since the opponent didn't cast it last turn, I decide to go for another Dauthi, tap out, and this turn I went for the Blood Moon. It's pretty hard for creativity to play under the Blood Moon. If they don't, creativity is basically the only spell they can play right now. And I was still, I was staying back with my Voidwalker because I had Spell Pierce exiled with a Void counter. So this meant that if they try to play creativity, I can counter it with Voidwalker. And they didn't have more basics, so my Cleansing Wildfire here was actually just Stone Rain, draw a card. Opponent continued attacking with a Dwarf token, and now when I had Fatal Push holding here, I was able to start attacking. Also top deck Thoughtseize, discard their Archon, play Archon with Doubt. Opponent immediately concedes the game. That's it. Let's check out the match 3. Okay, in the match 3 I was playing second. Kept pretty decent hand. I was just kind of missing the Blood Crypt, unfortunately, but it was still fine. I had like I started with a Mountain Darkseid Citadel, which means I can go turn 2 a Cleansing Wildfire myself if I want. Opponent plays the Bowmasters. In response, they get another ping from Bowmasters, but that is fine. I have abundant removal in my hand at this point. So here I decide, since mono black doesn't play that much creature, so I decide just to use my Damnation here. And next turn, you can see like this interaction with Beseech here. Having the Artifact Land meant I can go like Beseech. And I think this is like one of the best ways to play the Beseech in your decks. Just having Artifact Lands. And but when you have like these Artifact Lands, I think the Cleansing Wildfire is a pretty cool addition. Because the deck doesn't play many 3 drops, only 3 or 4 depending. Yeah, but you really don't play too much of the 3 drops, so getting that jump from 2 mana to 4 mana on the next turn, it's pretty important. Also turn 3 ring is great, you know that. And also having the 3 Beseeches means more access to ring, more access to Sheoldred, and these are just very good cards at the moment. Okay, so that was game 1. Opponent concedes partially, yeah, mostly because of the mana screw they had. And after I played Moon, they just decided that is enough. Okay, again, similar situation. I boarded in the Blood Moons. My sideboard was slightly different here, but I can still, as I already explained, but I can still show what did I change. It is in the mono black coffers matchup. So I have option here, a lot of options really. I can go for the Blood Moon, I can go for a ring, I have Beseech, Bowmasters, Inquiry. Opponent, I was really expecting them to play the Bowmasters, so I decided not to use my one ring until I kill this guy. So on my turn, I expected another Bowmaster, so I used a Cast into the Fire first, and then I used Bowmaster second, and now I got Undisturbed, played my One Ring ability, and get things going. Opponent kills my Bowmasters, but it really doesn't matter much at this point. They do have another one, but my hand is filled with good stuff, and I go for Burning Inquiry here. Drawing more cards, and yeah, that's it. Opponent seen enough. 2 cards in hand. I have Thoughtseize. Cast Thoughtseize, opponent concedes. That is the game. Okay, so let's check out match 4. And then in the end, we will see the defeat. Okay, nothing special here, but decent hand. Opponent was on Hammer Time, and I think this matchup is just so good for this deck. So much hate post board. Hidetsugu's Cast into the Fires. So much stuff. Scales is really popular right now, so I included a lot of this stuff because of that matchup. But here you can see like I have Fatal Pushes, I have One Ring, Terminate, all this stuff is just so good against them. Sheoldred gaining life. Opponent didn't really have much at this point, so I was just free to play my Sheoldred here, start gaining some life, and have a really comfortable game. Also, Sheoldred just can end the game also very quickly in this with this deck. And I have 3 Inquiries in my hand, so I go for first Inquiry, play the Waste Not first, do bunch of these abilities, opponent immediately concedes. That is very easy game. Let's check out the game 2. I had a bunch of leagues like this, just winning so easily in 3-4 matches, and then losing that one last trophy game or fourth one, whatever. So I started off with the Thoughtseize here. Opponent has Surge of Salvation. I also did some mistakes because I was just started playing the deck. so didn't have much of gameplay experience still. And I definitely did a lot of misplays in those losing matches. Opponents play Saga and Paladin, which is definitely great, but right now they only have 0 cards in hand, so they're completely dependent on this Urza Saga and top of their deck, and I have like 1 ring in my hand, which is pretty good in this situation, preventing them from doing anything on their next turn where they get the hammer on the field. Cleansing Wildfire here, a little bit too late, but still fine. Opponent creates 2 constructs, gets a hammer, obviously, gets a draw a card, and plays Pitting Needle on 1 ring, which was like pretty good. But yeah, so this time I needed a top deck and definitely got the best possible one. Hidetsugu from top of their deck, one of the best cards against Hammer ever, and clearing their entire board for 3 mana, just immediately winning the game on the spot. This card is just really incredible in this matchup. So now I destroy the Pitting Needle, I again have the ring, now I also have the Sheoldred. There are also multiple removals here, so have more, so much stuff that much more than I actually need, and the Sheoldred as a blocker on the field. Opponent gets second Stoneforge, so they're able to put Caldra on the field right now, but it doesn't really matter because there's just so much life gain at the moment because they can't really kill the Sheoldred. So I go for the attacks, opponent blocks, play the Bowmasters, play the Burning Inquiry, do bunch of these abilities. I gain 6, opponent loses 6, I get 3 Bowmasters triggers, and the opponent can have as much Caldras as they want, but yeah, they can't definitely beat this. And I went for Kolaghan's command, discarding one of the cards from their hand, and the opponent concedes. That was the match. And let's now watch the defeat. Okay, starting second. Again, I had a pretty good hand, and it was a scales matchup. And yeah, so this matchup was the reason why I lost so many trophies. I won. It's not unwinnable. I won 2 times and lost 4 times to this matchup, and each one of these losses were the trophy matches. It was so exhausting. Yeah, I think I played it badly. I won't even show you what I did with the sideboard because it wasn't a good decision. Basically, what I did was board out my Burning Inquiries and Waste Nuts, and this way I remove. These scales don't have absolutely no interaction with. Okay, so this is a very funny thing that happened here. I had a terrible. Yeah, this was. I was so mad after this. I almost quit playing Magic. So I wanted to cast a Lightning Bolt and Terminate on the 2 of their creatures. So I go Bolt Ravager. They try to sack something. In response, I terminate and yeah, deal with both of their creatures. And basically, just to win this game, they have 1 card in hand. It would be total game over. So they would absolutely have minimum chances of recovering with 2 rings in my hand and a Fable, whatever. And I accidentally misclick on Burning Inquiry, and Burning Inquiry doesn't ask you if you are sure you want to play this, you just cast it immediately, and didn't even get to cast the Bowmasters before that. So this unfortunate misclick, this was not a real loss because I would definitely win this game. I had so much more stuff than they did, and it's such a pity, and I really wanted to share. And I think I can count this almost as a trophy. But yeah, so close, and doing a misclick like this, it was my 4th game of the league, but still, Felt pretty bad, yeah. So felt pretty bad. I was on such a good run, all those easy wins, a lot of good matchups for me, and do such a misclick. I also did a mistake post board, removed Burning Inquiries, and against the deck that really can't interact against Burning Inquiry in any way. And when you have like double Bowmasters plus Burning Inquiry, it's so strong, and I removed like the strongest part of my deck out of it. So in this situation, it was like really hard to fight against stuff like the Ozolite turn 1. I need to find my cast into the fire, my Kolaghan comment. And yeah, so I think I did a few mistakes here. There is the Boom Bust. I think Boom Bust was pretty much useless. It would be so much better if this was just like Burning Inquiry. I definitely did the mistake there. Yeah, that was a bad decision. Okay, so I've had a bunch of removals here, but the Ozolite meant that every creature my opponent puts on the field uh, becomes very large, and I have trouble dealing with it. Blood Moon was good, but I also totally abandoned boarding in a Blood Moon against Scales. So now I have different sideboard plan which works much better, and I was able to beat Scales in last two matches I played. Unfortunately, opponent had I should have played the Boom Bust probably on that turn to remove that one forest they had, because they had so much of these green cards, two steerings, and that was probably crucial in this match. Yeah, so their hand was really pathetic at the moment, and now I finally killed that Boombast to kill the forest. If I did this before, then I would probably win this game too, but so much stuff didn't go my way this game. And yeah, so unfortunately didn't have a land here to cast the ring, and I was kind of just waiting for them to draw into anything that can put a bunch of counters on it. And opponent, of course, draws the automaton here, and it is fine. I had like immediate kill for it, so it's still good for me. But opponent puts another 7 counters on the Ozolite, and 3 very good cards in my hand right now, like Damnation, Sheoldred, Ring, all very good cards. I played Thoughtseize. Discard Hardened Scales from my opponent's hand, and opponent top decks Ballista for exactly 12 damage to kill me. And it was such I mean, I really was so much angry after this game. I just paused for a bit, and yeah, I wasn't yeah, I was so angry of losing this one. I felt like this one is definitely going to be a trophy game, and after this one I kind of just couldn't play it anymore, and quit on trying to get a trophy. And yeah, that's it. But I had a bunch of leagues similar to this one, doing 4-1. It was like I had like 3 or 4 in the row at one point, and then then other day I had another couple of 4-1s, and then this happened, and then I wasn't able to play it anymore. So frustrating that misclick. Instead of casting the Bolt plus Terminate to clear their board and basically win the game, accidentally click on the Burning Inquiry and immediately concede the match. That was just so bad. Okay, so I'm really happy with this list. I was amazed how well the decklist performed. You could see in the list in the league I played, I had 3 different cards. I had another artifact land in the main, and I had 2 boom busts in the side instead of the Colaghans and the Brutality. Decided to add second Colaghans for the Scales matchup, and the third Brutality for burn, because also the black burn was kind of popular. I lost 1 trophy to the black burn, I lost 2 trophies to regular burn, and I lost 3 or 4 trophies to scales. It was so frustrating, a series of leagues with this build, but overall all of these leagues were 4-1, and the deck performed just so well in all other matchups. Like Amulet Titan had no chance, Tron had no chance. I was beating Scam like with a high percentage. I was beating 4 Color Omnat. It was impossible for them to deal with. 4 Bowmasters plus Sheoldreds plus Beseech, finding Sheoldreds, and the Blood Moon, and also the One Ring, Cleansing Wildfire, whatever. And yeah, so I think the deck is very well positioned right now, but Hardened Scales beat me in those crucial matches before I changed my sideboard plan. After I changed my sideboard plan to keeping the 3 Inquiries in, and boarding in less of removal. I had kind of had too much removal post board, and the removal just wasn't that effective against them. Yes, of course, it kills their creature, but they still have like the Ozolate on the field or whatever, and they just top deck the Ballista and kill you, one shot you. So I changed my sideboard plan to keep the Inquiries in the main, and once I did that, the Bowmasters and the Sheoldreds started doing wonders in that matchup, and I was just a lot more happier with how that felt. So that's it. Okay, this is my definite list for the moment for the current meta, and I was really impressed with the performance. It is at first a weird looking list with a lot of one-offs. Like you have 2 Thoughtseize here, 2 Brutalities here, 1 Blood Moon, 1 Damnation, but that is all mostly because of the Beseech, and I explained why the Brutality is there. It's just a meta call, and the Cleansing Wildfires outperformed like in almost all the matches I played. Card was very good, a lot of Saga decks at the moment. Cleansing Wildfire, dealing easily with that, which would otherwise be a very hard situation for this type of deck. But having access to Wildfire in the main, mostly in most situations, you can just easily deal with it, and the opponent that is counting on Saga will definitely have their plan messed up. Okay, so that is it. Hope you like the video. Hope you like the gameplay. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe, comment in the video. Tell me about your gameplay experience with this list. How do you like this list in comparison to the previous one if you played it, the Rakdos rings? And that's it for today. Again, thank you for watching and goodbye.